Cincy tonight is a date with Pete Sampras in the final. Patrick Rafter beat him last year and wants a rematch. But he's got Yevgeny Kafelnikov to contend with. They both hold current Grand Slam titles. Rafter is the US Open champ, and Kafelnikov won the Australian in January. Here in Cincinnati, Rafter toyed with Chang in the quarterfinals, but Kafelnikov's in line to get back the #1 ranking if he beats Rafter tonight and wins tomorrow. Crowds at every session at this year's event. It's a big one. A Mercedes Super 9, the Great American Insurance ATP Championship. Second of two semifinals today. Yevgeny Kafelnikov, Russia. Patrick Rafter, the #2 seed from Australia. They say there's still a chance of rain for the moment, though things look just fine. And as you can see, it is relatively cool, but actually a very pleasant night for tennis. Friendly hello, everybody. I'm Cliff Drysdale. You know, it's one thing to have 9 of the top 10 players here, one out because of injury if you're a promoter. Then it's another thing to get the top 4 players in the world in the semifinals. That's exactly what happened. This afternoon, Pete Sampras of the USA, the top seed. He hasn't lost a match in a long time. Make that 21 straight matches. Well, he took on Andre Agassi. The rivalry kind of continues here. Agassi also of the USA, losing only, it seems, give me a little license here, to Pete Sampras lately. He's had a terrific year. Let's check and see how things went here this afternoon. In the semifinals, Pete Sampras, the #1 player in the world, they inspire each other, these two. Enough said. It's this kind of tennis that they bring out in each other. Of serve in the first set. So we go to the tiebreak now. Set point. Sampras serving at 6-5. Agassi with a park shot. I want a 6-all point because this was the turning point. One of the match. Lewis, he should have met this one. Cross court. A hair's breadth low. He cries and so do the fans. Sampras with that winner wins the first set. In the second set, Sampras gets out to a 4-game-to-love lead. It was all Sampras. Many come back from Agassi. Half volley from the baseline. That's one of his specialties. But there's another one from Sampras. Clean winner. And Sampras held on. Wins the second one. Many come back from Agassi. But 6-4 to Sampras. Pete Sampras. Tiebreak and 6-4 in the second.
6-4. 6-all. Neck court. You know, that was really the key to the match, that first set. You know, I thought playing as well as we could on our service games. I mean, he didn't miss any first serves and just was hitting the ball clean, didn't make any errors, and just too strong. I couldn't have really a sniff on his service games. I felt like I was serving well, and you know, it comes down to the tiebreaker. And you know, when we're both playing that well, it's just a question of a couple points.
So let's sum it up for you. The numbers game. Pete Sampras is #1. Kafelnikov is #2, but he could become #1 if he wins tonight and then wins the tournament. As for Patrick Rafter, he's #4, and that's about where he'll stay. However, he would very much like to retain the title here, and he's been talking pretty big game lately. But let's talk about this afternoon's match. Boy, there was another good one between those two giants.
Well, the first set was incredible tennis, and don't let Pete Sampras fool you and say it comes down to 1 or 2 points. Yes, that first set tiebreak was big, that one miss by Agassi. But when you look between the lines, when you look at the stats from the match, Sampras outplayed Agassi from the back of the court. That's supposed to be Agassi's forte. And Andre Agassi had no service return winners in the entire match. And it's been 7 sets now in a row that they've played, Cliff. and Pete Sampras has only lost his serve twice against probably the greatest returner ever. So that tells you something about how well Sampras has been serving and how he can count on that serve in the clutch. That's not what Agassi can count on in the clutch.
And as we said, I mean, Sampras has not lost a match in a very, very long time. But what about tonight? We're going to watch live the other two giants of this tournament. Yevgeny Kafelnikov, I think for the first time, feels like he wants to legitimize the fact that he was number one early in the year. But he's up against a guy who played so well against Michael Chang. Sort of, he was a zoner in that one, I thought.
He did zone in that match, Patrick Rafter, the Australian. And that match really, I think, has given Rafter a lot of confidence. He told us right after that, hey, now I feel like my summer's really started. And so far, the last couple of summers, Patrick Rafter has been the dominant player on the American hard court. Last year, he won this title when he beat Pete Sampras in the finals. Of course, he's won the last 2 U.S. Opens, and now he feels like his game is really rolling. And it's going to have to be, because Yevgeny Kafelnikov, as you said, Cliff, I think he feels like now maybe is the time that he can step up and be a legitimate number one. Early in the year, he got there, but he bombed out. He folded under the pressure. And in some sense, there's not the pressure on Kafelnikov really tonight. As we said, everyone really expects Rafter to win, but last year when they played, it was a tight first set. Kafelnikov went away in the second set. I think there's a more mature Yevgeny Kafelnikov. I don't think that'll happen, but I'm still not convinced yet.
I have a feeling that you're going to look forward to this match as much as you did this afternoon, if not maybe more. Yevgeny Kafelnikov taking on Patrick Rafter, another top 4 showdown in Cincinnati. Patrick Rafter, winner here last year. He has a lot to prove, but he said yesterday that his game is just right at the right time.
Here's your scalding hot cup of tea, Grandma.
Thank you, Thomas.
The M-Class performs like a Mercedes, no matter where it goes.
Everybody's doing it. Catch the wave. It's gonna take you away. See you, 'cause doing it is hard. With everything you've got, doing it, see do. On the water, in the sun, everybody's doing it, good thing fun. Everybody's doing it, see do.
ESPN and the ATP Tour's presentation of the Great American Insurance ATP Championship is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, located on the web at mbusa.com. We're live in Cincinnati, and Patrick Rafter is about to serve the first point of this best-of-3 set semi-final. The prize, a date with Pete Sampras tomorrow, and you can watch that at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. There will be no surprises from Patrick Rafter, his serve and volley game. This man from Mount Isa in Australia, 26 years old now, ranked number 4 in the world.
In the last couple of months, he's kicked it into high gear. He struggled early in the year. He was actually 7-8 at one point in the beginning of the year. But since May, since his final appearance at the Italian Open in Rome, Rafter's been on a roll. Kafelnikov, on the other hand, started the year impressively, of course, winning his second Grand Slam title at the Australian Open. He's 25 from Sochi beach resort town in Russia, but then really struggled. But since last couple of weeks, actually since some European clay court tournaments, his coach Larry Stefanski said he gutted out some matches. He's been winning quite a few. Semi-finalist last week in Canada, the Super 9 up there, and had just an unbelievable performance against Agassi in the semis up there. Destroyed Andre.
after Andre had destroyed Michael Chang. Kafelnikov leads the series 3-1.
But his last win a couple of years ago in New Haven final, 97. That was right before Rafter's first U.S. Open win.
Rafter with a serve and volley game that has become so recognizable to tennis fans. Wins the first game, 1 game to love. After 1 game to love, Kafelnikov, the number 4 seed, will serve. Let's go down to Luke Jensen, who's been talking to Larry Stefanki, his coach.
Yeah, that's Kafelnikov's coach, and I had a chance to ask him what were going to be the keys of this match. And of course, against Rafter, you have to pass well and return well. This is what he had to say.
It's going to be exciting. I mean, Patrick gave him a lesson, I suppose, last year at this time. You know, he's up 5-4. I read in the newspaper. We talked a little bit about it last night. And, you know, Yevgeny's getting more aggressive, which he has to. You know, that's why I think he played his last 2 matches. He came out of the blocks feeling like he was going to show these guys anything short, I'm going to whack and come in. So it's going to be an interesting battle tonight.
But you have to remember, Larry Stefanki is not concerned with playing the Agassiz, the Rafters. He's concerned when Yevgeny plays the, you know, the Janssens, like Johanssons, like he did in the finals of Montreal, when the pressure is on him. When he doesn't have pressure, Stefanki feels that Yevgeny Kafelnikov plays his best tennis. Back to you.
Thanks, Luke, and I think that's a good point. Big surprise losing to Johansson. I mean, I thought after the way that he manhandled Agassi in the semifinals that he was going to win it for sure. As you take a look at his record this year over top 10 players, that makes the point 5-0. He hasn't lost to one. I also thought Agassi would manhandle him after the way that he beat Chang there.
Well, what Spank is talking about, he's looking at the 5-4. He's talking about last year. It was 5-4 Kafelnikov in that tight first set, and then he didn't win another game. 5-0. Rafter won the match. And Kafelnikov definitely lost interest in that second set. We were here to watch it.
Yeah.
Well, Kafelnikov can hurt you off both wings. Just one of the purest shot makers in tennis. Good approach at 30-all. It's a big point. Kafelnikov just sets himself, rips a pass down the line. That's a good move from Kafelnikov. I was just going to say, Cliff, Kafelnikov doesn't want to count on hitting passing shots like that under pressure. And if he can serve and volley and mix it up, we know the guy can play great doubles. He's won 3 Grand Slams. He's a very good volleyer. Doesn't have a big serve, but his serve is effective enough. And if he can pick his spots with the first serve and get in, that'll give him a much better chance in this match against Rafter. Otherwise, he's going to have to rely on just being too big off the ground. And I think that's going to be tough against Rafter tonight.
Yeah, Rafter is the old school Australian, and his attitude is simply, you know, if you can keep hitting passing shots like the one that you saw in the last game, then good luck to you. You're going to beat me, but you're going to have to make them time and time again, because I'm just going to be all over the net like a rash. Through the legs.
Hey, Cliff, you're right. I am as excited about this match because these guys are coming out of the blocks hot, just like we saw this afternoon with Sampras and Agassi. Tremendous tennis in this point. Rafter with the cute dink lob. Kafelnikov, I might question that one, but hey, why not? He hits it pretty cleanly. Good scramble from Yevgeny. These guys are hitting the ball clean early.
30 low.
Oh. Rafter was a little shaky in his first match against Vacek. Just one break there. He struggled. But then he routine Lopenti 2-3 and then just was out of this world last night against Chang. He lost 4 points on his serve in the entire match against Michael Chang.
I did a little tour of the corporate tents here before this match, and No idea how many times ladies were talking about this man. They call it Ladies' Night tonight. Patrick Rafter is a big hero. And he has held on very solidly here early stages. 2-1 on serve. Kafelnikov for serve. We come back live in Cincinnati. Patrick Rafter leading Evgeny Kafelnikov. Kafelnikov to serve. We're on serve early stages. Best of 3 semi-final match to see who plays Sampras in the final. Join us Wednesday, first round coverage, the US Amateur Championship. The most recent winner who's gone on to a successful professional career is Tiger Woods. He won a record 3 straight. That was 94, 5, and 6. Action tees off Wednesday at 3 on ESPN. For more, log on to ESPN.com, part of the Go Network, go.com. Tiger Woods, Mike Weir at the top of the leaderboard in the PGA as well this week. Kafelnikov will serve trailing 1-2 first set. Very pleasant evening here for playing and watching tennis.
Players haven't been to quite as many semifinals as two guys we saw earlier today, Sampras and Agassi, but good numbers. Kafelnikov 2-1, Rafter 2-2 in the slams. And Rafter had his first semifinal appearance at Wimbledon this year. It really boosted his confidence. I think he really thinks now legitimately he can win that major.
Remember that Rafter age-wise is 2 or 3 years younger than the Fab 3, I guess, 2 or 3 or 4 from the US, depending on how they're playing. Career Agassi, Sampras, Chang. Not in that order. Kafelnikov holds on. 2 games all.
Good service hold there from Kafelnikov because Rafter's dominated on his service game so far. It is early, but still, Kafelnikov has to have some easy holds and then be able to go after the second serve of Rafter. So Rafter's in that groove, it looks like, again tonight, Cliff, with the first serve. Last night his percentage was sky high. Tonight it's up there again, right around 80%. And there's another ace, just his second, but he just gets into a rhythm with that first serve, the Australian, and his numbers are downright scary. Look at that, Chang utterly dominated in that match. Oh, athleticism from Rafter.
What Rafter has over Kafelnikov is hustle, that's for sure.
Well, we may find out how much Kafelnikov's matured in this match right here, Cliff.
I think Kafelnikov is one of the great shot makers in tennis. That goes without saying. I mean, he could be #1 in tomorrow.
Well, he will be Monday if he wins his next 2 matches.
But there is not a shot that he doesn't have, as you pointed out. Very successful doubles career, very prolific player, period. He plays a lot. Meanwhile, Patrick Rafter just dominates on serve and continues to do so. 3-2 first set. Live in Cincinnati, the Great American Insurance ATP semifinal. Rafter leading Kafelnikov 3-2. It is on the satellite and challenger circuits that Rafter met both Jonas Bjorkman of Sweden and Russia's Evgeny Kafelnikov. And of course all the other future stars who were struggling in the minors. They lived really in those days from win to win, check to check. They're really unable to afford coaches, and they practiced and roomed and partied with each other. And it's interesting that they have similar backgrounds. Things are very different now, although Patrick Rafter still doesn't have an entourage of people protecting him. He is as available as any, I mean, he's not just a tennis star, he's a major sports star. for Kafelnikov.
Kafelnikov has been playing very consistently the last couple of weeks, starting to turn his game around, and this is what Larry Stefanki was talking about, taking the ball, the short balls, and getting to net.
Like that. Yep. That one goes wide. 30-15 Kafelnikov in the press conference that Pete Sampras gave after his match today. There's how he got you. Bjorkman easily. Woodruff, Chris Woodruff, 6-4, 6-4, and then Henman in the quarters.
Reached the semifinals in Kitzbühel on clay a few weeks ago, and then finals in Montreal last week.
But in the press conference, Sampras' press conference, they were asking him all about Rafter, like it was a foregone conclusion that
Right.
Rafter was going to win this. Which is not being fair to Kafelnikov in his game.
Well, that's okay. That's what Larry Stefanki wants Kafelnikov to do. There's Larry. Is attack those short balls. Better make a couple errors like that than to play defensive and let Rafter take the net away from him.
Wide serve, 114-mile-an-hour ace, even 3 games all first set.
Talked about the pressure getting to Kafelnikov. When he did get to #1 earlier in the year, he lost 6 straight first-round matches on tour from March through late April. He says that he was sleepwalking, and he's tried to put it past him, put it behind him, and move on.
15.
Just for a long time, never know what you're going to get with Kafelnikov. It's almost like Cliff playing Russian roulette.
16-3, then he wins the Australian Open. Then look at that, 1-7, 6 first-round losses. But he played well last week, as we said, particularly against Agassi.
Well, he says he wants to be back in the thick of it, and he wants to earn his way back, and he feels like this is a place to do it. Oh, great touch from Rafter.
He hasn't made any impression on Rafter's serve yet. Rafter is the 7th child and the 4th of 6 boys. There are 9 altogether in his family.
And one of his brothers, Peter's here with him. He's picking up right where he left off last night, Cliff, on his service games. Difference, though, in this match is that Kafelnikov has a lot more firepower, so he'll be able to hang with Rafter on his own serve more than Chang did. Well, he's only won 2 points on Rafter's serve, Cliff, and they've both been clean winner returns off the backhand.
Game point.
What a stab.
That really is the kind of shot that only a great volleyer can come up with. 4-3 Rafter, no breaks. Kafelnikov when we come back. This is Patrick Rafter leading 4 games to 3. Now just take a look at that last volley that he made. I mean, this guy can come up with some extraordinary shots. Now this is not how you should be doing it at home, folks. This is a forehand volley. Now take a look at that. Whoa, hold it there. See, that racket there was supposed to be above the point of contact, and then you come high to low on the ball. Patrick Rafter approached this ball like that. Now watch when he finishes up how the racket is going to even go up like this, almost like it's a topspin volley. It's very difficult to get away with that. But Patrick Rafter has got so much game. That's called improvisation.
He can improvise on the volley, but his technique on most of his volleys, Cliff, is just superb, Patrick Rafter.
You're watching live coverage of the Great American Insurance ATP Championship. We're in Mason, Ohio, very close to downtown Cincinnati. This is the second of two semifinal matches played today. Sampras beat Agassi earlier today. This is Kafelnikov Rafter. First set. 4-3. Rafter leading 15-30. Kafelnikov serving. Cliff Drysdale up here alongside Patrick McEnroe. Luke Jensen a little closer to the action. He's at courtside.
Another big point for Kafelnikov. Came up with a good serve out wide. He's under pressure here.
I'm not happy with that one. You were making the point yesterday, watching Rafter, I think needs to be made again, Patrick, and that is that he doesn't miss many returns. He's not known. I mean, he's known as a serve and volley player, but he really makes the serve a play.
Full page.
Can play doubles. They can both volley. Game Kafelnikov. 4 games all first set.
Well, this is interesting to me. Kafelnikov gets in just before that on the approach. He sort of hesitated. It's almost like he's fighting his own instincts. Watch it, and there he comes up with a tremendous touch volley. But a couple times I've noticed, Cliff, tonight, that he's sort of hesitating when he hits a big ground stroke. And then he says, oh, I remember what Stefanki told me. I got to get in because I'm playing a big-time player, and I've got to go against my instinct, which is to stay back, force myself to get to net. And look what he can do when he gets there.
He's still only lost 3 points on his serve.
Yep. They've all been great returns off the backhand of Kafelnikov, but Rafter is picking the corners perfectly. That was his 6th ace.
Yeah. All over that one, too. 40-15 Rafter.
Well, we talked about his win over Chang, where he dominated on serve, but he also never lost serve against Letty in his previous match. 19 straight games now that Rafter's held serve. 1 point away from number 20. Oh, he clipped the line on that one. It's amazing. Every point Kafelnikov's won on Rafter's serve has been just incredible shots, and that's what he has to come up with. Look at this runner. Rafter expecting the roller cross court, gets burned up the line.
Yep. Comes right back and holds on. Patrick Rafter leading 5 games to 4 first set. Best of 3. Semi-final. Sampras is in the final already. Last year that the wheels fell off Yevgeny Kafelnikov's game. Patrick Rafter leading 5-4. Kafelnikov to serve. Join us Friday afternoon. Senior PGA heads for Concord, Mass. as first the Bank of Boston Classic, defending champion Hale Irwin. He's back looking for a repeat. First round coverage beginning at 1 o'clock on ESPN. For more, log on to ESPN.com, part of the Go Network, go.com. Four-five. This is a big game, folks. Patrick Rafter hasn't had any trouble holding on. Kafelnikov, a little more trouble. No break points yet, though.
Kafelnikov serving predominantly to that forehand side of Rafter, and it's paid off for him. That's where Rafter will make more errors. He's never misses a backhand return.
The court well, doesn't he?
Looked like that Sampras runner today, and Patrick Rafter bunts the backhand back in play, and the Kafelnikov's in total control. Good scoop there, but look at this.
That sends a message to Kafelnikov. Again, really big point coming up here at 15-30.
Kafelnikov did exactly what he wanted to do, Cliff. He got a short ball off the serve, pounded an approach shot. Rafter got over there so quickly to rip that forehand and set himself up for the point. Give himself a chance to make that running backhand.
Rafter is not intended to stay back. He's happy to stay there. He did it the Italian Championships this year.
He's in a groove now. He's not going to miss from the back of the court. Kafelnikov's going to have to go for it.
Set points.
Now Kafelnikov under so much pressure to get the first in. Comes up with a big one up the middle.
Still set point. Rafter hits that backhand in such a way as if to invite his opponent to drive for too much. He knows he's quick enough to run just about anything down. It's what he did in Rome against some very good clay courts, including Agassi, who went on to win the French Championships. He did it right there to Kafelnikov, and he has broken. He's won the first set 6-4.
As much as Kafelnikov has been picking on the Rafter forehand on serve, Rafter doing the same to the Kafelnikov forehand. No winners off the forehand side from Yevgeny today. 5 unforced errors off that wing. Rafter really thinking he's in the zone now. going for this swinging volley and a low ball from that close to the net. That's not the percentage play, and rarely do you see Rafter go for the non-percentage play at net. But he is starting to feel it. There's that swinging volley again, Cliff, that Rafter was able to control.
Yeah, Kafelnikov is also, he's too rushed.
There's that stab volley again. That time his racket's up a bit higher. He's able to get pace on that ball. Look, he read that passing shot. He was all over that cross-court backhand. Again, picking on the forehand return. Rafter's service games are downright dominant. First set, he only lost 4 points on serve. 15 of 20 at net.
Game point.
And there's ace number 7.
Yevgeny Kafelnikov is going to have to find some way to get Rafter's serve back, at least make some kind of an impression on his serve. Will he? We'll find out. Everyone, you're watching the Great American Insurance ATP Championships, one of the Mercedes Super 9 Series. That's the major tour stop here in Cincinnati. The race for number 1, it's Pete Sampras who is there now. Kafelnikov is close. He's got to try and win tonight to overtake him. Agassi outside looking in here, but not much. Or indeed is Patrick Rafter.
Well, Rafter's so far behind partly because he won last year, so he has to defend points. Well, that's what Kafelnikov needs to do, but notice he's doing it now at love 1 in the second, but he didn't do it at the 4-5 game. And that's when he needed to do it, when the pressure's on. It's sort of like what happens in the Sampras-Agassi matches, at least the last couple, which is Agassi serves great for the set. Then it gets to the tie break, or it gets to a tight part of the match, and his first serve sort of lets him down a little bit. He doesn't win as many cheap points. Sampras knows that he can count on that first serve even at crunch time.
Look, when you're only able to gather 4 points in a set against a guy on his serve, it makes it that much more difficult for you.
It puts a little pressure on your own serve. That's a good point, Cliff.
Pressure right here, 15-30.
Second ace for the Y-man, as other players on tour like to call him. I always thought he could get a little more out of his serve, Kafelnikov. Doesn't use much leg. Very little knee bend in the Kafelnikov serve. Watch his knees here. He just sort of gets up there and a lot of arm. Very little leg. Rafter looking to widen the lead, much in the same way that Sampras did when he broke Agassi at love to start the second set and really put Andrea out of it in a hurry. And Kafelnikov is in danger of having that happen right here.
Break point. Yeah. Patrick Rafter has just kept unrelenting pressure on Yevgeny Kafelnikov. Unforced errors for Patrick Rafter.
6-6 for the match.
Yes.
And there's something about great players, Cliff, that they smell that little opening and they smell that window of when they can pounce on their opponent and stretch the lead. That's what Sampras did today. Rafter's doing that right now.
2 to Rafter and 1 set is already under his belt.
Oh, look at that movement. Look how quickly he gets to that volley.
This is just a continuation of the zone that he was in against Michael Chang.
7th volley winner for the Aussie. And that forces Kafelnikov right there. He says, wait, if the guy can make a first volley like on that first point the way Rafter did, I better go for a bigger return. And Kafelnikov then goes for a bigger return right there and doesn't come close. So he's taken Kafelnikov completely out of his game. Boy, is he swinging that serve effectively in both courts. First serve percentage. This is incredible. 84% for the match for Rafter. And then just for good measure, he keeps Kafelnikov guessing with a body serve.
Patrick Rafter, 3 games to love in the second, 1 break. He won the first 6-4.
Well, much like last year when it was 5-all in the first set and Rafter went on a roll 5-0. 5 straight games now for Patrick Rafter. He looks dominant right now. He's won the first. He's up a break in the second.
There's a message for you, Patrick.
I'm fit, right?
Yep.
Oh, no, you mean not me?
We love you. You're number one.
You guys are great. I think they might be talking about this, Patrick. Something tells me.
Nah. 3's up. I really hope that Yevgeny Kafelnikov just says, look, let me bear down, do the very best I can. This guy's got too much game for me tonight, but I've got to give it my best. It is so easy for him to go away in situations like this. Remember what happened last year? Pretty similar score, actually. 6-4 first set Rafter, 3-1 now in the second. Having said that, Kafelnikov is still trying. It's just that Rafter has got too much game at the moment, way too much.
He has hit every serve in the corner.
His first serve percentages are at 90% this set.
Yeah, 85 for the match. And it's not like he's rolling the ball. Sometimes you see those clay court guys when they're 85%, but they're spinning that serve in. He's just going for it.
No,
look at that. I mean, every one of them is right in the corner. Oh, he hasn't been broken this week. I forgot about that first match with Vacek. That's right. 33 straight games. Just when Kafelnikov thinks, okay, I'll sit on that wide serve. Rafter says, okay, I'll throw the toss in the exact same position.
10th ace.
Right down the tee.
Kafelnikov won a Grand Slam this year at the Australian. He's also won the French in the past. This year on a hard court, not dissimilar to this one in Melbourne Park.
All right, so he is human a little bit. One double fault now.
They've both got 2 Grand Slams. That's going to go wide. Rafter hangs on. He wins the game and he leads 4-1 in the second. He won the first set 6 games to 4. It's been all pretty much Patrick Rafter. He is the 2-time U.S. Open champ. He's the holder of that title and the holder of this one here in Cincinnati.